Hello, girls and boys. Our objective today is to identify and apply the steps to create shapes, designs, artwork, and landscapes in a computer program. More specifically, we're going to be working in Scratch to draw basic shapes. Basic shapes will be the foundation to create almost any type of artwork that you choose. Let's look at some things that shapes have in common. One thing that shapes have in common is that the number of angles equals the number of sides. So if I look at this rectangle has four sides, and the angles, those of you who are not familiar with angles, the angles are these corners. There are four corners or four angles. Same with the triangle, three sides, three corners, or three angles. Another thing is the sum of the angles is 360 degrees. So if we look at the upper left corner angle of this rectangle, the inner angle is 90 degrees, the outer angle is 270 degrees. And it's the same with all of the angles around it. The outer angle plus the inner angle equals 360. 270 plus 90 equals 360. If we look at the triangle, we see the same thing. The inner angle is 60, the outer angle is 300. And that's the same with all of the angles going around the triangle. The outer angle plus the inner angle equals 360 degrees. 300 plus 60 equals 360. So what we want to remember when we are creating our shapes is the number of sides equals the number of angles. The sum of the inner and the outer angles is 360, which gives us a really, really good formula to create our shapes. 360 divided by the number of sides equals the angle. We're going to go to Scratch now, and the categories that we're going to be using for our projects will be motion, events, control, and pen. We could use other categories such as variables and operators at a more advanced level, but for our purposes now, we're going to just use these categories. So let's go to Scratch. Well, I'm inside of Scratch, and since we already have a basic understanding of Scratch, we'll get into drawing our shapes. As I stated earlier, we're going to be using the motion category, the events category, control, and pen. I don't see the pen category here. To get that, I'm going to click down here where it says Add Extension in the lower left corner of the screen. I'll click there, and there's the pen extension. I'll click on that, and now I have my pen extension. I'm going to start off in the motion category. I will use the move block to draw my sides, and each side I'm going to make 100 steps. So I'm going to move 100 steps, and for my angles, I will use the turn 15 degrees block, and we'll have to change this degrees for our angle size. Another thing that we have to do is we have to create a certain number of sides based on our shape. And rather than duplicating this code over and over again, we'll use the control category and grab the repeat block, and that will serve for the number of sides. So if I'm going to draw a square, I will repeat this code 4 times. And in order to draw, we're going to use the pen category, and we will use the pen down tool to draw our shapes. And I'm going to add a set pen size so that it's very clear the shapes that we're going to be drawing. And I'm going to set my pen size to 3 just to make the line a little bit thicker. The next thing we want to do is we want to add some type of event to get our program to start. We've discussed this in the past. If you want to get your computer program or your video game to work, you don't actually go inside of the code to start it. What you do is you use a controller or you press something on your keyboard to get it started, and that's what we're going to do. So I'll click on Events, and I'll use this when space key pressed to get my program to start. Now, if I'm going to draw a square, what I need to do is I need to determine the size of the angle. So if you remember our formula, and I'll grab my calculator, 360 divided by the number of sides, there's 4 sides in a square, 90. So my degrees should be set to 90. So I'll click in there and change that to 90. Now, if I press the space bar, we should have a square. There we go. We have a square. Let's try another shape. If I want to draw a triangle, I'll repeat this 3 times. I'll grab the calculator, and we'll say 360 divided by the number of sides in a triangle, which is 3, is 120. So I'll change that 90 to 120. And now if I press the space key, we have a triangle, but that triangle is inside of the square. So we need to add some type of reset. So I'm going to grab this when space key pressed, and I'll change that to the letter R for reset. And I'll go back to the pen category and grab erase all. Now when I press the letter R, that will be erased. And now if I press the space key, we have a triangle. What I will do now is challenge you to draw some special shapes. Some of the shapes will be shapes by themselves. Some of the shapes will be shapes inside of shapes. Some of the shapes will be shapes next to shapes. And then you'll begin to see how drawing these basic shapes will be the foundation to draw almost anything that you want. I can't wait to see what you come up with. You guys are going to do a great job with this.